Okay, for our last and final speaker. Okay, everyone, let's welcome Manoj Gursahani. Let's give it up for him. He's the chairman of Travelmartindia, Bollywood Tourism. He's the past president of the Indo-American Society and current president of Visit USA Committee. He's the current vice chairman of the US-India Investors Forum and the current vice chairman of the India Business Group. He's the thought leader of the Indo-US corridor, and his areas are tourism, trade, and investments. So, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Manoj Gursahani.
So, Manoj.
Yes, sir.
Nice having you on my show, Jam with Sam.
Likewise.
And how many years we know each other?
What, 10, 12 years?
10, 12 years?
Yeah.
So, tell me something about Travel Mart.
So Sam, thanks for having me over here. I think it's a great concept, and you put together the Maha Networking Kumbh Mela with everybody put together, and I'm sure all of you are going to benefit. Well, when he said, I said, why are you calling me? He said, share your story of an entrepreneur. So I'm going to break my talk into two. One is my journey so far and what I've learned from a networking standpoint and how I apply those lessons to my day-to-day life. Because I think that's what you have come to understand, because before the networking, while the networking was happening, I saw a lot of entrepreneurs speaking who are into various aspects and other businesses, and we all come here to learn, get gyan, and also learn about business and how to network and create opportunities. So let me begin my story. I've been an entrepreneur since I was the age of 21 years old. That was way back in 1982. I started my travel company, which was actually that time funded by my dad. The name of the company was Sound Travel, and we had an office in Nariman Point. And it grew on to become the largest consolidator for airlines. That time used to be consolidation where you used to sell for Lufthansa, British Airways, Pan Am Airline used to be there at that time. So we were large consolidators at that time. And while the consolidation happened, the business was pretty good. But that kida in me, we said, aur kuch karna chahiye, let's move on. And so while that was going on, I kept visiting US, and I have a friend who was a professor at University of Connecticut, Hartford. And while I was staying with him, I saw a book his wife had written about or done a research work on, and it was written WWW, World Wide Web. And that time, honestly, nobody in India knew nor what, because those were early days, much before the .com days. And I kept reading it, and throughout the night, I actually read the whole book. I said, internet, fabulous, they're talking about the way it was and all that. So while I read it, actually whole night, and then the next morning I said, yaar, isme to kuch hai. When it hits India, we're going to make some big money on this. So whoever gets into this early is going to take advantage of that. So when that happened, I came back, and the first guy I connected with was Vijay Mukhi, a dear friend.
Okay.
So he's obviously, all of you know, he's an internet guru. I met him, and I said, yaar, kuch business karte hai isme, and let's make some money. That time there was no internet connection also. And you had to go through an American Express international card, connect through via something which Vijay could do. And we set up a company actually to start making home pages, web pages.
Okay.
And the first web page we sold to a company for 1,50,000 rupees, single web page. And unfortunately, I just got 10% for that, and the company closed down, so baki ka paisa bhi nahi mila. So well, that happened. And so there were a lot of, and then I remember we hired marketing people to sell web pages. It was expensive at that time, and was not very successful. I think we are far ahead of our times.
Which year was this?
This was, I would say, the mid-90s, early 90s, mid-90s, when the internet had just started in the US.
BSNL tha?
BSNL bhi nahi tha.
BSNL bhi nahi tha?
Nahi tha. We had connected through via, internet through a particular gateway to have to go through.
Okay.
So there was nothing. And so that time we were too ahead of our time. So actually I had to wrap up that business. And but all along I learned about technology. And when the early days of .com came, I figured out that I could figure out before anybody else could figure out that there's an opportunity, because you've done all the research, Gasapita, whatever, you had to go through all your challenges of life. And we managed to launch the first travel portal, which is Travelmartindia.
Okay.
And okay, before that, I'll step back. I did still, while we were doing consolidation, and I'll come back to Travelmart, we also ventured into various travel-related activities. And there was this airline called Modi Luft, if you remember.
Yes, yes.
We took over their soul selling agency from Bombay. Okay. In India, it's called GSA, General Sales Agent.
Right.
I think some of our friends from the travel business would know what a GSA means. Gopi is there, so he would understand. And then there was another airline called Tower Air, and I have a colleague who used to work for me or be part of my organization called Samara, who's right here. And these were two airlines. We were actually exclusively marketing that. And that is big money because you get an override for every passenger who goes. Okay. And so that was a great opportunity. I made a lot of money, but trust me, within, it ran for 1.5 years. Within 6 months or whatever, whether it's timing, both the airlines closed down. And I had given huge deposits, so whatever money I had made, I'd put into that, but cycle of life went on. The key is, I think, entrepreneur spirit. So you came back again and said, no. So I come back to my Travelmart story. So that's the time when I understood technology. So the key is when whatever you go through life, your experience teaches you something. So that helped me build Travelmart, build up the first portal. I actually hired a guy who was doing ASP programming. I said, yaar, 5 ka page bana do, this, what tabs, and put it all. And at that time, that was the heady .com days. And I still remember I first picked up and made a PowerPoint presentation, and I went meeting all these venture PE funds. That time nobody had heard about venture capitalists. And those were the days when actually Sabbir Bhatia had got his big money from Hotmail. And there was Rajesh Jain had got some couple of 100 crores that time. So it was a gold rush for whom we remember.
This is pre-2000.
It was just pre-2000.
Before the .com bust.
Before the bust. So I'm coming to the bust. So when this happened, and so I remember I went to Citibank. That was my first company I went to was Walden Nicco. There was a friend of mine who was handling that, and I gave him a pitch and presentation. Okay, before that, I went to the erstwhile company called Arthur Andersen because I wanted them to write a business plan, and they are very expensive. And there was a guy I still remember called Munish Khanna. And I met him, I told him my story. I said, boss, paise nahi dunga, or whatever, we'll give you a success fee. I won't even pay you an initial amount of building a business plan because they're expensive. They only deal with top blue chip companies. He bought into it, probably saw the passion, whatever he saw, and he put a business plan together with which I went to Walden Nicco. He could not meet me that day. The guy was out. And the next 48 hours, I met Citibank, Citi Private Equity, which was their office still, I can't forget. It was in Lower Parel. Next to that animal hospital. You go further on that time, the hospital, the office was there. I met them. I'll also remember the name of the lady I met, two gentlemen. One was Latika Ahuja and the second was Vinayak Shenvi. Both these guys were sitting. I had gone with my younger brother with a typical shirt, no coat, board, nothing, without expectation. ठीक है, एक pitch करते हैं. And when I sat across and spoke to them about the worldwide, the whole thing and the passion. So she said, shut your PowerPoint. I don't want to listen to PowerPoint. Tell me about what you want to do. So obviously that opportunity. So I said what I intended to do, that it's going to change and online travel is going to change the way people do airlines, hotels, whatever you're seeing today. I mentioned that was in early 2000, just before the .com bust. Trust me, she said, okay, I like what you say and we are willing to fund you. We'll sign a term sheet, but you don't go to any other guy after this. Promise me you'll turn, those were the days. You'll sign the term sheet and trust me, and we'll do due diligence. And within 1 week, I got a funding of $1 million. Wow. I'm talking about those were early days that time. And then that money came in, and of course we tried to put good use to that. And after that, I remember immediately within 6 or 8 months, the .com bust happened. All those, so, and then the game changed because again India was much ahead of the internet search.
Yes.
And here is where my other competitors who are much larger players today, like the Make My Trips and Deep Kalra, all these are friends. I want to share, but they are competition, but they are still friends. Of course, they are far ahead in the game as far as the online space is concerned. That time I remember Make My Trip started moving on to, we went into the US market because US market was mature and started selling tickets US, India, US. And I think that was his turning point. And by that time we had all burnt ourselves, the burn rate was high and the market, so sometimes you're ahead of times, it might not be good for you. But anyway, so that journey began and it was a great journey. We're still doing well in Travelmart, we have a good name, we do a lot of corporates and there's a mix of a lot of other things. So that's my journey in travel.
So Travelmart, isn't it affected by all this? Nowadays people go online and they book. Why do they come to a...
So it certainly does. So according to me, those who are in the travel business always say it's a dying business in terms of those who are not established, those who are coming just immediately. So either you're too small, you're a couple or an entrepreneur working out of your home, then you're fine. Instead of working for a salary somewhere and you have the domain expertise, you operate from your house. That's a good business to be in because then you learning about a business and selling it to your family and friends. That's fine. Or you have to be very large.
Yes.
Okay. The in-between guys are going to be wiped out very clearly. We are surviving because of innovations, because we are built over client overs, and we keep innovating ourselves to see that you know making money in the business. So because you asked that question, that again that entrepreneur bug always we said something kuch different. You have to keep on innovating and being market leaders. So not recently, about 4 years back, we started this company called Bollywood Tourism. Now again, the whole story or the whole thing came off is I had cousins coming from Canada and she'd come to stay with me and she said, I want to see a shooting, I want to see some stars, and I had to pick up the call and make some phone calls to that. And what was very embarrassing is I used to stay in Mount Mary. That time she came down with me, stood outside Shah Rukh Khan's house and said, let me take a picture there. And I figured out that if there's an NRI in Canada who is so crazy about not forget Shah Rukh Khan, television star, they know more about television stars than we do. What time are they? By the way, in UK and Canada and some places in Vancouver, what are 9 o'clock Saas Bhi Kabhi serials work in that same time zone at that time, and they're great audience and viewership. So when I heard that, and of course we know in the domestic market, and in India there are only two religions, as we say, cricket and Bollywood. So I figured out that there is a pain point. And again, for entrepreneurs, you have to figure out where the pain point is and to get there before others get in to create that opportunity. I mean, while I'm talking, I'm just sharing what comes in my mind. And I figured that pain point, and I started actually, which I said, a dog and pony show of mine, which I started talking to people. So the biggest challenge was how to get an average guy behind the studio. So actually about 4 years back, I met Sunil Shetty and I signed up with him. We started a company at that time and it didn't work. For 6 months, we invested a lot of money in capital, took a large studio setup in one of the film stunt studios, had a song and dance, big setup, but the numbers were not there. So again, we spent too much on capital, but we could not get the footfalls. So we both had but good thing, we parted in good ways. He said, nahi ho raha, let's move on, and he has his own.
You had something in between, Vamoose.
Yeah, so that was a group, but I'll finish my Bollywood story first. So
Bollywood you should keep for last, now everybody's charged up with Bollywood.
Yeah, so Vamoose is among many others. If I started so many things, what I'm saying is, so you moved on, and the moment I realized that as an entrepreneur, you went into a business and it does not work, don't be emotional about it. 6 months, we cut off your losses and just move on. There is not that log kya bolenge, whatever else it is. And of course, be careful with your capital and don't do too much of, too much of peer pressure. Don't worry about it. Just move on. As long as you have the spark in you and the spirit in you, money will come and investments will come. So that was when Vamoose happened, group buying. It didn't work in travel. So coming back to what my current, what I said, passion and focus is on Bollywood. So then we started this, and then Sunil Shetty and me parted ways. He moved on, and he had a company that time called Popcorn, and he had several other film production things, which he also wound up, and he's doing well on his intellectual property, and of course he's a great entrepreneur and a great human being. I should comment on that. And then he moved on, but I still felt no, there is a lot of opportunity. So we tied up. So the key is to tie up with various production companies, stitch up that, and not invest your money in your own studio. That is how it started from. And we went on and we started marketing overseas through a network of travel agents, participated in a lot of trade shows in US, UK, wherever the points are, Maharashtra, jahan bhi, wherever there is you have an exhibition booth, my people go, put the table wares as we all do, and there are 2 girls marketing the concept, we do mailers and all that. So that's been about 3 years back. And of course, then I figured out that Film City is one area. We used to take them to studios and they say, boss, jo bhi hai, we want to get into Film City. Because that's the mecca of Bombay mein. Wahan nahi gaye to, kuch dekha nahi.
Absolutely.
Then again, to open a Film City is a huge challenge because it's government bureaucracy. It comes under, by the way, it's called Dada Sahib, all that thing, and the whole connection is more instead of that is there is a bureaucracy of government.
Red tape.
Big red tape. So we couldn't open that. And then I approached MTDC, Maharashtra Tourism Development Corporation. They had a tender. We filled up that tender. We got appointed about 6 months back as one of their, channel partners to promote Bollywood tourism. So through that, I used that route to get into Film City because government to government. And the guy who handles Maharashtra tourism, there's a secretary called Sumit Malik. He's the same guy who handles Film City and Maharashtra tourism.
Okay.
So he's a man of vision himself personally, very impressive. And once and I told him, simple, sir, Bollywood tourism, you have to sell him the story. Okay, Bollywood. I said, listen, sir, if an additional guy from Gujarat comes to Bombay, or a foreigner stays one more extra night in Bombay, you are talking about a huge contribution to GDP, because tourism is one of the largest foreign exchange contributors to the country.
Correct.
And you have to sell him the concept and things like that. He bought into it. So he said, "Theek hai." And then we worked on with Film City. In fact, as you saw in the papers last week, it was there in Times of India, 4th page, which we didn't have to pay for. And you know how expensive that can get. Editorial column. We had a press launch and Times of India, and a lot of newspapers talked about it. So we did a final connect where now we have our company Bollywood Tourism is officially connected with Maharashtra Tourism at one stage and Film City at others. So I'll go further is how does it help me? So Maharashtra Tourism does all my marketing because they have the budgets for marketing.
Yes.
So they have airport counters, they have all the places, they have offices in town, so it saves me my marketing cost. So that's a smart, I'm talking about you have to learn to be innovative to do that. And Film City gives you access, and plus within Film City I tied up with studios. So that's the story, and then I will tell you what my final dream is before then we can take Q&A and then give you some gyan of what you should do in life. Any questions you have so far?
So the thing is, what will prevent somebody else from doing the same model which
you're doing? Very good question, Sam. So, as I said, the paranoid survive, and I've always been very paranoid throughout my life. कि कल उठूंगा और किसने शुरू कर दिया तो all your hard work is gone, and people are, and in India no idea is more than 24 hours old. Our Indian mindset, genetically we are such great entrepreneurs that and everybody wants to eat your breakfast, lunch, whatever else it is, so there is no idea which is beyond. So in fact I never wanted publicity earlier because I said लोगों को पता चलेगा, they will Google all that, they'll get wiser and they'll start that. So I was always. So they said, you have one business, you don't want publicity, why? I said, because our friends in the trade or whoever else can jump into it. So to answer your question, we need to create a level playing, to need an entry barrier. So according to me, Maharashtra Tourism is already an entry barrier. It's a tender process. Film City is exclusive with us, so it's an entry barrier, nobody else can get in. But we're going one step ahead. So I've already got funding tied up. We are now going to launch, and it will take about 6-8 months, the first Bollywood theme park. Yes, sir. Bollywood theme park.
Like AdLabs Imagica?
No, AdLabs Imagica is a 3,000 crore project. It's a different project. Top line, that's, I would say that's ahead, and it's like a theme park. But our theme park, it's like more of games. Our Bollywood theme park is going to be more, the biggest challenge for us is getting it within the city, footfalls. Because when you go to, Imagica and all that, people are willing to travel 3 hours and whatever else. But so Bollywood theme park is going to be very simple, and I'm going to share that because we're far ahead in implementing it. So I'm not. So
it's being recorded and it'll be
absolutely
Googled.
No, please do that. It's good publicity for me. So my investors will get convinced. तो सही जा रहा है. So basically, what's it going to be about? A guy will come in. It'll be like a 3-hour. What Smash has done for cricket and all that, I'm going to do for Bollywood. If you've seen Smash at Lower Parel, it's going to be in one of the areas which is accessible. A guy will come, 3 hours, he'll be taken through a guided tour on how movies are made. He will see from scripting to post-production to VFX to a song and dance to a stunt sequence, everything in 2.5 hours. 3 hours, it's a family entertainment center. They will come in and they will get complete access of how a Bollywood movie is made. कि बहुत simple दिख रहा है, sound कैसे हो रहा है, recording हो रहा है, whatever else it is, and it's going to be interactive. The guys are going to be, so out of obviously 30 people coming for every time, 2 or 3 guys always probably here will interact, and our guys will actually take them through a whole guided, and they'll get gyan. So it's an edutainment, family thing, which is our next project, which hopefully, inshallah, you'll see within less than 1 year being launched.
So this is going to be in some studio, abandoned studio, something?
That I can't tell you right now. That is somewhere I have to keep something back. So venue is a great secret right now. So all this is being worked out, and because real estate in Bombay is the key. So you have to crack that code, and there are several other codes we have to crack, then get the funding, and so all that thing is now finally stitching together, and say God willing, that will be, so that's where again what I'm trying to communicate is, you never, now let me give thoda bahut gyan baji. So is that whatever you have learnt in life, nothing goes waste. You know, you said, chalo, do passengers ja rahe hain Bollywood mein, this, that. People tell me, what are you going to waste your money? You got other businesses going. Why are you spending your time, energy? No. But the key is you have to be passionate. You have to have that interest to create something new. You have to go after that, and trust me, when you go after that, money comes. Because what is an average investor? It doesn't have to be a PE fund, whatever. It could be a HNI who's willing to put in money. He said, "Aadmi thoda pagal hona hi chahiye." Commitment to that. You have to be crazy about your idea. You have to have, being practical about it. You can't be, thinking, and you have to have domain knowledge. So
Absolutely.
those are obviously elements involved in all these things which are required as a businessman. So, and people who invest money now are very sharp. They understand, does this man know what he's talking about, what has been experienced. Also, what I'm saying is sum total of whatever each one of us have done in our life will never go lay. I'll remember Ajay Jain, I met him 5 years back. He had put up a networking something, and I can share that. I'd gone to him, and I think he's evolved from what he had started as a concept. So he's probably started his own thing, and in coming to G2, and I was hearing him. So each one of us have learned in our individual life, and and I'm sure where you started, what you're learning, what you have stitched together. So I think there is a story that don't give up what you're doing, continue that, and especially in today's time. If I may say, if I can add about the networking element now, okay. In today's time, I always tell, and I've got 3 girls. My eldest one is 24. She's working on Hindustan Liver as a trainee. And again, I got her a traineeship there because I knew somebody. Otherwise, today an MBS also can't get a traineeship in Unilever. Okay, so all I can tell, and when she says, and today is a tough world outside. Yeah. Competition for everything, whether it's a college admission, school admission, getting a job, getting entry into that, getting your first appointment with the keys, getting a decision maker. I met corporate trainers, to meet corporate guys, to get the first account is always going to be difficult. So here is where I think forums like this help, and I've always believed, so I always told my daughters, and I will repeat that here, in today's life, everybody knows everything.
Yes.
Gyan is available. By the time you finish, you'll Google me, you'll know more than I've told you right now. Everything is available. What is not available information-wise? Everything. You do YouTube, you do, at least earlier it was not available. Everybody knows everything. And at least, Sam, I think everybody is at least more smarter than I am in many areas. So what I keep telling my daughter is, what is important is whom you know.
Absolutely.
And people have to like you to do business with you.
Absolutely.
Or hire you. So it's an important element that you have to, and like does not come, fake nahi ho sakta, "Arey Sam, mera khas dost hai, gale milo, air kiss," and all that. That does not, people can see through. So here where I always feel is, invest in a relationship.
Absolutely.
Okay, whatever it is. So if you find a guy, he's there. Like honestly, I'll tell you, there's a friend of mine, Jaggi Gupta. Jaggi, I wanted to stand. He's here. Okay, so he's actually my childhood friend. Okay, and he's been now on touch with me. But he's on touch with me on Facebook and all that. Usko pata chala aaj baat kar raha hu. He's honestly, I can tell you, a struggling photographer. So what I told him, come for this event today. Okay, meet people, stretch out. When Ajay said about moving out of the comfort zone. So all I'm saying is, you have to move out of the comfort zone, all of us. It's strange first time when you go networking, dur khade rahenge, then talking to people, you feel shy about it. And trust me, as you go about, we all have gone through that. Sometimes you'll make stupid mistake, 3 people are talking, you'll go inside and give your card. We all go through that thing. Then a time will come when you don't have to give your card, people will ask you for your card.
Absolutely.
That's the time you know you've arrived as a networker. And it's a long lesson, you can read books, you can adapt. So what I'm coming back to that, as I'm saying is you have to invest in people. You have to make some people and make 2 people meet each other to see that they benefit. Again, people tell me, kya fayda, don jane ka fayda karake, whatever else it is. What is your agenda? I always tell people there is no agenda.
Absolutely.
The biggest agenda is, it's a law of nature, boss. If you help 2 people connect with each other, and this I've learned from BNI too also, that concept of givers gain. I was there for a couple of weeks or whatever, but I learned that. And again, I'm saying it's so basically, if you give out, it will come back to you. Because if you have given out to somebody, people will remember, इसने यार मुझे बुलाया था, अच्छा अभी travel का काम है, ये फलाना group जा रहा है, मनोज को phone लगाओ यार, are you interested in that business? So it comes back to us in each way what we want, and I think that's what is life all about. And of course, be passionate, be crazy, all those kind of things.
So tell me something about the networking groups. You are part of, I think, BTC and IBG. So
well, honestly, networking groups, lot of them. So currently, so let me also tell you, my first networking platform was Rotary. So when I started my career in 21 years, at the age of 24, we actually, for those of you who are Rotarians, I was the charter secretary of a club called Rotary Club of Bombay, Queen's Necklace.
Queen's Necklace, okay.
Today we are the top 3 club in India, I think in District 3140.
Yes.
It's got 125 members plus. We meet in town, top line, quality membership, as you would know. And I was the charter secretary there. So again, Rotary is what? Service above self, all that.
Which year did you join Rotary?
90. So Rotary, we started the club. It was formed in my office. That was in 1985.
85, wow.
Yes. We got the charter in 85, and that time Jyotindra Vakil was the district governor. And so that's how we started Rotary. And again, I just jumped into it. You need minimum 17 charter members. We got together, ho jayega. The charter was coming by the time first, so taking risk. Yeah. That Kujli has always been there. So taking risk, getting into something which you don't know, an area where you are not familiar with, you just jump into it.
Absolutely.
So just to answer your question, no, Rotary was, I think, a great learning, and honestly, it teaches you various processes, how it's still working after 100 years, after, there is something going right. Every year on July 1st, the presidents change. Nobody can become a president for the second year. You're networking. They don't allow people from the same. So if you're a chartered accountant, you don't allow another chartered accountant.
Now
it's changing. It's changing, I'm saying.
Five.
But it started with that. So, each vertical, so if you're a travel agency, the other tour operator doesn't come. So if it's the real estate, so you are going there to network so that you're not meeting your competition. That was the original idea. It's changed because of classifications have opened up. So Rotary was a great platform. Of course, I'm involved with BTC, which is Bombay Technology Club. Again, this was co-started by a few of us, which is Vijay Mukhi, there is Atul Nishar, and there is Harish Mehta, a lot of NASCOM members who co-started this. And you've come for BTC meeting, we meet once a month, and that is usually technology guys get together, no agenda, you just meet, talk. Then there is, so that is one, and then off late, of course, and we're very active as co-chairman of IBG, which is India Business Group, and that I can tell you in less than 18 months, it's the fastest growing business group which we have seen, networking group. For those who have not come, you should check it out and Google it. It's a great platform again to meet interesting people. It's not a dating platform. It is not other platform where you're going to for wrong purpose. If you're coming, for those who want to do that, it's not the platform, but there are other platforms available. But for this, it's core Dhanda platform. If you're coming there, you'll meet people of different, kind of thing, and you can get your, interest things and all that, and gain a lot of business.
A lot of expats come for that meetup.
A lot of expats come. So again, and when you talk about expats, there is a way to network with expats. And I think from an Indian cultural standpoint, we need to understand that. And especially men, when they see goris, there is a different wire connection which happens, and they go all about, all that. I think they need to change that. And I think there's a lot of cultural aspects to be, worked on that. How you approach them, you can't be too much strong on them on the front face, even if you're dealing with it. It is a very subtle art of, and that I can't share, I can't tell you in the next 10 minutes, but it's a very, different thing. So when you come to maybe an IBG or something, when you meet expats, you'll also understand that what kind of thing happens there. Then IBG, as you know, recently launched the boardroom, and the boardroom is only restricted to CEOs. So that's another networking. And of course, I work with the US government very closely on so I started I was president of Indo-American Society 2 years back, and that gave me an understanding of the US mindset, because it was to cultural, travel, all that things. And then we got into 2 organizations, so one which I head, and I'm talking about more not because I head that, but more from a networking standpoint. It's called Visit USA, which is actually only restricted to the travel community, and it promotes travel between India and the US. But because of that, I got close to the consulate people, we worked, and we keep doing things there. And there's another forum called Investors Forum, which again is investment between India and the US. Okay. And again, principle is the same, whether you deal with Goras or Indians or whatever else, you have to have good intention, give, be committed. And another thing, if you meet a person within 24 hours, establish the connection, write back, don't ask for business up front, say in your mail, is there a way I can help you? All these, learnings which you keep on doing, keep on accumulating, will finally, you'll say, otherwise, kya fayda? Sam ka 4th networking maya, 5th networking maya, kuch dhanda to nahi mila, all that. But it will take time. You have to keep on grinding. And as you fine tune your networking skills and, you get more fine tuned, you'll suddenly feel, as in all things in life, it will open up.
Absolutely. So you said one more dream. That dream was the same dream of your.
Yeah, so this is, I've got a lot of, but this focus, one large dream you should have in life, no? So there are a lot of others. So, and I said, so it's Bollywood tourism theme park, which hopefully we will, launch and soon.
So you're expecting a lot of foreigners to come for this, or you're expecting Indians to come for this?
Good question. So foreigners, I think they'll be taking another tour, including, I think this is going to be more for the domestic market.
Okay.
And we're going to make the price points very affordable. So I'm actually studying all models from Smash to Imagica to your Shah Rukh Khan, that thing which started in that Kidzania, all in that Rugville Mall, and all these models we are studying to see what are Indian consumers paying.
Okay.
What is the price point? What will a family pay, couple with 2 children pay for that? If they're going out for 3 hours, 4 hours, what is the kind of money they are willing to pay? And I also like to acknowledge, so first is Vikram Sawant here. Vikram, will you just stand up and just say wave? So Vikram is a dear friend, and actually I've learned a lot of my, so Vikram and they do something called a studio talk, and they train people in TV anchoring. And so actually went through a program with them to learn how to actually speak on television, which is a different kettle of fish or whatever. And that was thanks to Vikram, and probably get better communicator. Samara I've already acknowledged. And then I have Josh, will you just say hi? Josh again is a dear friend, and actually Josh is a great singer.
I connected with him at about 11 o'clock at night on Facebook.
So Josh, again, Josh is a fabulous singer. He works with various groups and, great human being. So we connected. So these are all friends. And as you keep developing friends and, you keep trying to promote your friends, very important. Let me tell you one thing. What is the agenda? Nothing. Promote your friends. Law of karma, it will come back.
Absolutely. So Manoj, it was fantastic having you.
Thank you for having me.
Indian Networker.
I just wanted to share it naturally. So
absolutely. That's how we share it naturally.
Absolutely.
We all have a good laugh. We have a good engaging session over there. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
One second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice having you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.